Hi, this is Joyce Zook. We're talking about bedroom adventures. How do you make your husband fall in love with you again? How do we do that? Sometimes gals want me to just start off by telling them how to fix their sex lives. And I said, we really can't start there. We have to start back at the beginning. Because who wants to be intimate with someone that's yelling at them, arguing with them, criticizing them, not talking nice to them? We don't want to be intimate with anybody like that, and our men don't want to be intimate with us when we're doing the same thing back. So what do we do? First off, we have to work on those things. And I think you'll see soon I'm going to have a series coming out on YouTube. It's going to talk about that. About I can't fix him. But today I want to talk about if your marriage is in a good place, then what can we do to increase this excitement, the fun, the pleasure, the joy of being married and the sexual relationship, the physical relationship between a husband and a wife? I asked my husband permission to give this quote to you from him, but he said I definitely can give it because it is so true. He said, you are the only, he was talking to me, you are the only woman in the world that God says I can have sex with. When I stop to think about that, I go, that makes me kind of special. It also means I have a responsibility. If you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it does talk about not denying each other our sexual relationships. Let's talk about that. What are we going to do? First off, we have to get rid of this concept that we're always going to feel in love. We're always going to want to have this lovey-dovey feeling. And gals tell me, oh, my hormones don't make me feel that way anymore. Well, that's true. They probably don't. For most men and women, when we're in our 20s and early 30s, we look at each other and we get this romantic feeling like, oh, I can't wait. Oh, he touched me. Oh, he kissed me. I just can't wait to, and we get this all lovey-dovey feeling. My husband and I have been married 42 years. In another couple months, it'll be 43 years. And I can tell you, most of the time, I just don't feel that way at all. Does that mean that sex and intimacy stops just because you've been married this long? I don't think that's what God wants. Sometimes we have physical issues, and that means you have to deal with those. And that might be the reasons and problems that you have, and you have to deal with that. But in a marriage where two bodies are healthy, God intends for a husband and wife to have physical intimacy. But Joyce, I'm going to tell you about what we can do about it. Because first off, I'm going to give you a simple thing. Stop complaining. I know, it's hard. He doesn't do anything right. I bet you don't do a lot of things right too, from his opinion. But the minute we turn those complaints over to God, we started to increase the atmosphere in our home. So we want to be intimate with each other. We want to touch each other and be with each other. I'm going to talk about more things in this series about how to make him fall in love with you again. We're going to talk about trying to change him. We're going to talk about how to control him. We're going to talk about how to flirt again. Last time we talked about surprise dates and how to make it fun to spend time together. Because when they do studies, the two biggest things that husbands and wives say they want, both of them want intimacy. This was a study by, I think it was Rosenberg's was the ones who did this study. I may have that name wrong, but it was a study that I read. And the last name did start with an R. Remember that much. But they did this study. They interviewed, they took essays of research, tests, interviews. They weren't physically interviewing, but they were questionnaires from their conferences they did, and they had over 5,000 couples answer this question. And it was, what was the most important thing to you? And for both men and women, the husbands and the wives, the most important thing was intimacy. The interesting thing, though, was when they went to them and had them define what intimacy was, to women, the wives, it was a emotional and relational communication. This thing that we develop by spending time together and talking together and doing fun things together. That's why in the last video, I talked about surprise dates. It's in that dating relationship with our husbands that we develop this emotional, fun intimacy. What does it mean to men? Probably what you expect. sex. That's what they were looking for. So why do a lot of people get divorced? When I studied that again, they're talking about two things. Again, back to lack of communication this emotional intimacy, romance that we women want. And for men, lack of physical intimacy. But Joyce, I don't feel like it. I'm going to talk to you about that today. I'm going to talk about 11 tips to get in the mood. You will find those in my book too, 12 Keys for Married Success. Right now it's available on my website at joycezook.com. You can see it there. We're trying to get it back up on Amazon. We had a few issues, and so it will be there eventually. Still working on that. Don't know what God was doing with that. But anyway, it is available on my website at joycezook.com. What can we do? I'm also going to talk to you. I said I'd talk to you about the body, mind, and soul. First off, we have to realize the soul part is getting this in our heads that God intends for married couples to be intimate. Now, how often do you say? Oh, there's no specific guideline for that. Most couples will want to have sex once a week, at least. Now, I had a gal when I was talking to a group in Spain quite a few years ago. She said, only once a week? She said, we've only been married 2 weeks. I want it more often. I said, sure, honey, go for it. Go for all you want. And so it depends on the couple. You need to talk about that. How often is good for the two of you? Leaving sex as a topic we don't talk about doesn't really help. We need to talk about it. But what else can we do? First off, realizing this needs to be part of our relationship. For me, many, many times, I've had to write it on my calendar that yes, and often it does go with a date. If you plan that your fun date, your time of romance and talking and doing fun things together also includes intimacy, then that's one time you can plan that you're going to be there. Why do we women need to plan? I can tell you, there's books that I've read, and I love some of these things. They say men are like microwaves and women are like crock pots. What's that mean? That means a guy looks at a gal and he goes, oh, and he's all ready. And a gal's like going, oh, but I want to be loved and romanced. And she needs to start in the morning thinking about it. And she needs to get ready and prepared. And it takes so much longer. It does. And I can tell you, the older you get, the more you got to slow down so you have energy. I can just tell you. Believe me. I love my husband dearly. And he knew I was talking about this today, and he's praying for me on this subject because I don't really necessarily like talking about it. But it is so important to all of our Christian marriages that sex and intimacy needs to be a part of our relationships. When it's not, I've also got this quote in my book. When it's not, when sex is not going right in a relationship, it's 80% of the problem. It's like this big, really, really big. But when sex is going well, it goes back to being down about 5% of the relationship. Can we start off by fixing the sex problem? Sometimes we can't. Often we have to start off with working with your relationship with God. Are you complaining? Can you have a good conversation? Have you learned how to have arguments that you can talk about things together and you can solve issues? Have you learned to go on dates? And then have you learned to respect him in a way that he understands? All these things are in my book, 12 Keys for Marriage Success. But you can go on and you can do that, and then sex becomes a natural outcropping result of that good relationship you've built out. Now, if it's not there, do we have to say, oh, we're just going to quit? That's it, we're going to divorce? No, I do believe it can be built back again. But Joyce, he doesn't want to work on it. I know, I've heard you. But you know what? I have seen over and over and over again that when we change, our husbands change. It takes one person to start it. And if you're waiting on him to start it, you're going to wait a long while, honey. I'm just telling you. Because, the old saying is pretty much true. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. The whole household takes their atmosphere and their attitude from you. The way you're responding, the way you're acting. So you are the one that has to get this. When you do, believe me, things are going to change. So let's talk about some things. Say your marriage is in a good place, but you just need to spice it up a little bit more. You know that intimacy he's not satisfied or you're not satisfied. What do you do about it? Let me talk about some of those things. First off, we talked about recognizing that intimacy, regular sex, whatever that is for your relationship, is part of God's plan for marriage. Second off, let's do something that we can practically do. Let's prepare our bedrooms for intimacy. Joyce, prepare my bedroom. Yes, I wanted that. First off, what are you going to do to prepare your bedroom? I've asked gals about that. What's in your bedroom? Well, I got stacks of boxes over there from everything that we haven't unpacked. Then we've got the office and I got paper spread all over the bed. I've heard that one. We've got the dogs coming in there, sleep in there, and they're always all over the bed. And then kids keep coming in and coming in the door. And so we never have any time alone. And he gets up before I do and all these kind of things. Excuse after excuse after excuse. Because we don't want to take charge of it. Can we take charge of intimacy? To a point, and then I like to let him take over, take charge. But we can prepare our heart, our souls, getting our mind right that this is part of what God wants. Praying about it, asking God, heal this part of our relationship. And then let's get our physical space ready. First off, if your dogs always sleep on the bed, I want to highly encourage you to get someplace else for them to sleep. It's really hard to make love around dogs when they're right there in the middle. Find another place for them to sleep. It will greatly help your marriage. Second, put a lock on that bedroom door so that the kiddos can't come in, and teach them that if the door is closed, they need to knock. They can't just walk in. But they might need me. Well, you can hear them. If they need you really bad, they'll be screaming. You'll hear it. But put a lock on that door. And then don't put your bed, the back of your bed, right up against the wall that's next to the kids' room. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, ask your husband. Okay? Don't do that. Find a place you can do that. Get your bed someplace else in the room so it's not against the kids' wall. Put a lock on the door. Find a place other than the bedroom, at least for part of the evening, for the dogs to be someplace else. Maybe it's a cat too. I don't know. It's kind of, all those animals in there. It's hard to get close to your husband. So, put a lock on the door. Find a place for the animals. Then clear the clutter out of your room. You know, one of the things that people talk about is how much fun it is to go to a hotel, even for an overnight honeymoon visit or quick little honeymoon, because it's so clean and it's so neat. Create that atmosphere in your own bedroom. Clear the clutter out. Figure out where you're going to put it. Get the papers off the bed. Can you move the office from the bedroom to another part of the house so that your bedroom is really for two things, sex and sleep? It really does make a difference in your marriage. It really will. And it's one of those things that will make him fall back in love with you again, because you have decided to make sex and your bedroom a special place. Then once you get all that junk out of there, move to another space, then clean the room. Change the sheets. Change the sheets, I suggest, at least once a week. I don't like to wash them any more than that, but you might. But once a week gives those nice, clean, fresh sheets. Because, you go again in that hotel room and you get in the clean sheets. Oh, it feels so good. And everything's so clean and neat and it smells good. Get the room smelling good. Spray some air freshener in. Open the windows. Light some candles. Get the room smelling good. Clean sheets on the bed. Get the junk out of there. Prepare your bedroom. Now, what does that do? First off, it's going to change part of your heart and mind and soul. Because as women, this is part of getting that crock pot started. We're going to start putting little things in our crock pot to build up. Our men don't need that. But we do. And they aren't going to necessarily know that's what we need. But we do. So we can start doing it. We can start doing those little things. And then there's some other things you can do. And I'm going to talk about 11 tips to get in the mood in just a minute. But let's go over this, what we've talked about already. Remember, God intends for sex and marriage, and it doesn't end at a certain point in time unless there are physical limitations that are keeping you from there. And then you need to find out some other way to get close. I know when my husband and I are recuperating from various injuries and surgeries and stuff, we've just wanted to snuggle and just be close to each other, just touch each other, hug each other. It's time to kiss a little more often until our bodies would heal. Folks, this is really important. And gals, I know it's hard for you because we are not turned on by our eyes most of the time like our husbands are. We're turned on by the emotions. And the emotions have to build up to get there. Now, the other thing that can happen is once intimacy starts, most of us will be interested in it. And if not, I've got some great books you can read. I highly recommend Dr. Rosenau's The Act of Marriage, and Kevin Leeman's book, Sheet Music. That's like bed sheets, SHEET music. Both great books. And I also like Pam and Bill Farrell's book, Red Hot Monogamy. These are some great resources to read. Read by yourself. There's other ones called like Sex After 40, if that's where you are in your marriage. Guys, gals, I'm not talking to the guys, I'm talking to you gals, because this is not what guys go through. This is what us gals have to go through. So let me talk about tips we can use to get in the mood. And this is always a fun one to see, because I see over and over again, whenever I talk about this, nobody wants to show up and join me on the live video, but they watch it. You may be one of those ones that watch it, and I hope you do. You don't have to leave a comment. If you want to, you can. But contact me with a comment, or if you're watching it on Facebook with a direct message, you can do that. That's fine. But remember, this takes time to build. I had one gal that was saying she contacted me because her sex life wasn't very good. Actually, I had two gals do that for different ones. One of the reasons, one was just they were always yelling. And so we had to figure, she was stressed, she was tired, they were always yelling, how come we haven't had sex in 3 years? I said, well, let's back it up. And we learned out what she was doing to take care of herself, how she could feel better about herself. Then we talked about learning how to talk to her husband and solve these issues. I never did find out for sure if they were having sex, but when I asked her, how's it going? She goes, it's going really good. Another gal, we had a similar issue. She wanted me to help her with her sex life. And again, we started talking back again at the beginning and worked our way there. She said, we went to Grandma and Grandpa's, my parents' house, and the kids stayed with Grandma and Grandpa for overnight. My husband and I went for a honeymoon date in a hotel, and I said, how'd it go? She goes, it was really good. Folks, you can fix it, but you don't always fix it by starting with the sex issue. Just telling you, got to get this in your mind. Again, gals, we have to feed our crock pots. Get your bedroom prepared. Make it a place you want to be. A place where you feel comfortable, a place that smells good, a place that is feeling romantic to you. So let's talk about 11 tips to get in the mood. I'm going to have to, I can't remember every single one of these. I'm going to have my book here too. So remember, this is my book, 12 Keys for Married Success. First off, finish your chores before dinner. Oh, when I first ran into this issue, I realized I was so tired after dinner, and I had dishes to dry, I had clothes to fold, I had this to do and that to do, and I was exhausted. No way was I interested in spending time with my hubby at that point, because I was worn out. I had too much to do. So when I really was reading 1 Corinthians 7 in the Bible, it says not to deny my husband sexual relationships, or him for me and me for him. I said, how am I going to solve this issue, Lord? It's like, I've got to figure out how to get my chores done before dinner. If you work full time, it's how do you get them done an hour or two before bedtime, so you can have some time to rest and relax and reconnect with each other. What are you going to have to do? One gal I was talking to recently was talking to me about how upset the kids were at bedtime, and everything was going bad, and everything was bad in the morning when she was trying to get them off to school. And we took it on back and found out she wasn't making dinner early enough. I know it sounds crazy, gals. Another gal said, so therefore the kids got to bed late and they were tired and cranky in the morning. Another one said, we talked again about meal planning. I know it's such a simple thing. It's like meal planning and sex go together. Believe me, they do. This gal said, my husband's always complaining because I never have dinner ready when he comes home. So we talked about how to plan meals, how to have them ready, how to use up foods in the freezer, making a monthly meal plan, having things in the crock pot. She said, you know what? She goes, my husband's been a lot more romantic since I had dinner ready when he came in the door. Just telling you, gal, it's worth it. Finish your chores before dinner. Fix your hair and makeup before your loved one comes home. I know. Maybe, if you've been sweaty all day, go wash your face. Maybe you have to take a shower. Maybe you need to take the shirt off that the baby spit up on and put on a clean one. Maybe you don't wear makeup, but you at least can wash your face and make sure your teeth are clean. and dress for that. Dress to make yourself feel good about yourself. If you've been in sweats all day and your PJs all day, go put on a nice pair of jeans and a nice t-shirt. You'll feel better. And it's a lot easier to get in the mood when you like the way you feel. It's easier to get in the mood when you're not exhausted. So number 1 is finish the chores. Number 2, dress yourself so you feel good about yourself. Fix your hair and makeup. 2, 3, wear an outfit that makes you feel pretty. You know it's date night, or you know it's a night on your calendar that you think it might be the good night. Wear something that makes you feel pretty. Don't wear that outfit that you think you feel ugly in or you feel fat in. Maybe you feel fat anyway. I don't know whether you do or not. But wear something that makes you feel pretty. It doesn't matter your size anyway. Just feel something that makes you feel pretty. Remember, you are the only woman in the world, as his wife, that God says your husband can have sex with. One. And I asked my husband what I don't look like I did when I was 20. He says, it doesn't matter. You're the only woman I could look at nude. Sorry about that, but so he gets what he gets. So I just take my glasses off, turn the lights down low, light a few candles, and I can't see anything. Right now, without glasses, I have no wrinkles in my face whatsoever. It's beautiful. Now I put the glasses back on so I can read. That's what we have to do. Prepare a simple favorite dinner. When you're going to have that night, that night of romance, and it's your date night, prepare a simple dinner. Our date night always used to be pizza night. It still is pizza night on Friday nights. It's not always our date anymore, but we like to have pizza night because it's a fast, easy meal and a fun one that everybody likes. Put the kids to bed early if they're young, or else make sure they're going to bed at a decent hour if you've got older kids. And get that lock on the door. And grandparents, make sure you have a lock on your door too, particularly when the grandbabies come to visit. I was in the bathroom getting dressed one morning, and I looked, and there came my little granddaughter walking in. She was about 2.5 at the time, and I go, uh-oh, we didn't lock the door. Had to teach her to not, and how to get that lock on. We had to get the lock on. If you really want to get in the mood, take a hot bath, get a shower, find some way to relax that makes you relax. Thank you, Shelly Jo. Appreciate this. And I'm going to share one right now. Shelly Jo was talking about this one. But gals, not only take a bath, but it's time to shave your legs. Get yourself where you look good. You feel good. Do your underarms. One gal, I asked her, she used to help me teach this study. What did she do to help feel good and feel sexy? She wanted to get her nails done. She liked just clear, clean polish. But she said it didn't matter what the rest of her looked like. She just felt so pretty when she got her nails done. I don't know what makes you feel pretty, but do it. Do it so you feel good about yourself. Select an outfit that you can wear later for his eyes only. My husband calls these 5-minute clothes. Why? Because they usually only stay on about 5 minutes. But it's not for you. It's for him. Remember, you don't have to look at you. We are not turned on by the way we look. We're turned on by him and way his response is to us. So look in his eyes or shut your eyes. Doesn't matter. But you're preparing yourself for intimacy. Prepare your bedroom for romance. We talked about that at the very beginning. Make the bed, change the sheets, clean out the clutter, freshen it up, clean the whole room. Maybe light a candle and remember that lock. Play soft music in the background if you like, or a sound machine. I know one of our kids has a sound machine that they play in their room. They also have some in the kids' room, so they like sound machines all over. And it really does, in a small house, cuts out all the noise. Shelly Jo, that's fun. Fun. Yes, you are spoiled, Shelly Jo. Very, very, Shelly, very, very. Invite God into the process while you prepare your mind. Since God is the one that said that intimacy and sex is part of marriage, it's okay to pray. It's okay to pray when you're on your back. It's okay to pray when you're getting ready for intimacy. It's okay to ask God to help you prepare, to help you be responsive to your husband, to learn how to meet each other's needs, to learn how to communicate them, to learn how to not criticize and argue, so that you actually want to be together. When we're arguing and fighting, complaining against each other, it doesn't work. But he does it to me. Well, somebody's got to stop it. You be the one to stop it. Invite God into the process. It'll make a big difference. And number 11, ask God to help you turn off that mental clutter in your brain, to set aside that grocery list, the things that need to be done, the things that haven't been done, that mental clutter that says, oh, I'm not as pretty as I used to be. I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I'm flabbier. I'm fatter. I've got wrinkles. I got this. I got that. It really doesn't matter at that moment, folks. You're fulfilling the relationship. Best thing that can happen that can draw a man and wife as close as possible is that physical, intimate relationship.